Okay, Carol Ruth isn't on yet. So I'll go according to my screen, and there's Joanne. Joanne sends out the cards to everyone. She's also, just so you can know everybody too, Vanessa, Joanne wrote a book on forgiveness, called A Forgiveness Habit. It was endorsed by Desmond Tutu. And she's on the PWIC global team. And she's worked with the members, VP of membership services. And she's in Houston. Then we have Lorelei.
Houston area.
Yeah, she's in the Houston area. We have Lorelei Craft. And again, I'm going according to my screen. I skipped myself. And so Vanessa, Lorelei is who we call, I call, and some of us call Noah's sister, Noah from the Bible, because she built, God told her to build a tourist attraction, which she has never done. She was a caretaker to help her city. And instead of it taking a couple of years, she built it in 5.5 weeks and had over 100,000 people attend. And she's been on all these major channels, written in the Hall of Fame, and that's our Noah's Ark sister.
Yeah.
And Lorelei is
great.
in Carolina. You're on mute, Lorelei.
Carolina, okay.
And then we have Marion. Marion is in Arizona, Tucson, right outside of Tucson. So Marion is our marketing VP. Our marketing VP. And Marion does the newsletter. She's just completing Dr. Honeycutt's second book. And I'm sure you know about Dr. Honeycutt. I was introducing everybody to Vanessa, our new member, who's with, what's your organization again? With Janet Jett.
Yes, Love Never Fails.
Love Never Fails. You know Janet Jett because you introduced me to her, Dr. Honeycutt.
Yes.
So Vanessa is the founder. I'm so proud.
Yes, I did. And listen, I thank you, Valerie. I'm so glad that you're introducing this wonderful lady. Her organization is outstanding. My God, what she is doing to help people. I won't take long. I just want to say hi, Vanessa. Janet, look out for you. And I'm so glad to see you, my dear. And of course, I was at church and Janet made a presentation for Love Never Fails with our pastor and with our congregation, and wonderful work. What God is allowing you to do to save people's lives is, these ladies need to know your story. So I'm going to stop talking so that Valerie can do her thing.
Oh, thank you so much.
Awesome. Let's see, and who else I have? I have Connie. Connie is in Florida, and Connie is she works with veterans, and she helped the veterans. I mean, this is so touching because I never knew about it, and I know I see it on every call, but she helped the veterans that gone into hiding in the forest to get housing. So she's building housing, and she has a village, and she has a lot else going on. But
I don't have the village yet. We're working on it. I'm not as good as Lorelei.
Yes.
We're going to use hippie container homes because they're fireproof to 2,800 degrees.
Yeah.
And they're affordable. But they're going to have a lot of different things to help with post-traumatic stress. And these are the veterans who have been withdrawn for years, traumatized.
Yeah, you're doing some incredible work. I'm so proud of you.
We're working on it.
Yes, I know. I saw the model of the homes, of how she's going to build them. It's really nice. So maybe we'll get a chance to see that at some point. really soon. And then we have Dr. Marcia Canton, and Dr. Marcia Canton works
Right.
with San Francisco State. She's also works with health, and she is a nurse. She's a professor. She's got a PhD. She is an all-around woman, and she specializes in education and mentoring, teaching about mentoring. So the two of you should also connect. I'll introduce you.
And
Yes.
Vanessa, I want to get your contact information because I have a student who's doing work on human trafficking.
Okay.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I love our community. And then we have our famous Mary Corrick.
Thank you.
I had to do that. I saw your face. So Mary is in and Dr. Canton is in it. Dr. Canton is in San Francisco. She's over by the airport area. And then we have Mary Corrick. Mary runs an online magazine. She has also has a nonprofit for teaching young girls leadership.
Video podcast, and I have no nonprofits. Left that world behind 15, 20 years ago, but I do have a business, and what I do is globally connect people, and one of the people I want to connect is Vanessa, because of your introduction, Valerie, to someone in my network that does work in human trafficking as well, and they work globally on that. That would be awesome. So, but yeah, that's connections. That's what we're here for, and that's what I do.
She has some really high-end connections. I saw one of her the podcast, one of that she interviewed Queen of one of the country commanders. I'm trying to think of this word, but
I don't know, but they're my croissant, okay?
Yeah. So she connects people who's making an impact on a higher level, and she's just incredible with the connections that she has, and I just really love her and her energy. Beautiful, a beautiful soul, as well as all of you. It's so great. Next on my screen is Dr. Denise Strong. Dr. Denise Strong, and Mary is in North Carolina. Dr. Denise Strong is in New Orleans, where I am currently. Dr. Denise Strong is she a former professor at the University of New Orleans, as well as an administrator. She works with nonprofits, helping them get their board straight. She's done all of that. She's a leader in her community, and she has a business teaching diversity. So to leaders, and it's that leaders can impact and to change the world and get rid of all this racism craziness. But anyway, that's who Denise is, and I'm here because of Denise coaching that I started all of this. I'll tell you that story another time, but that's okay. Anyway, the word in New Orleans is when Denise speaks, you listen. It's the word on the street.
Great.
She's humble, but she knows.
Beautiful.
And Dr. Honeycutt, as you know a little bit about Dr. Honeycutt. Dr. Honeycutt is considered one of the legends of San Francisco. She's been an advisor to the mayors for decades on so many different boards, and she's on her second book, which will be coming out soon. The first book is right there with her, is Straight Talk for Young Boys. This one is for women and talking about God in their lives. So we have Robin Ty is on the line. Oh, and Dr. Honeycutt is in San Francisco. We have Robin Ty on the line, and Robin is in New Orleans. And I live, as you know, presently in San Francisco, originally from New Orleans, and I'm here in New Orleans, unfortunately, because of the death of my niece. And she died of cancer. We had her services on the 22nd this week. We woke up, the family came together. I had no idea I had so many relatives. relatives that when they were little and now grown with children, all came together from different cities. And we woke up to find getting dressed to go to the services, to go to a funeral, and she was on the news. They were doing a dedication to her and talking about her work, and then they hit a clip of her speaking, and that was so touching. We had so many people, 3 different pastors, a representative of the city of New Orleans, and it was all day, but I'll tell you about that later. And things happen for a reason. I always believe that. So we are also meeting with, while I'm here, we're also meeting with our community and city leaders for our PWIC project for New Orleans. In fact, Denise and I are going later to the Lower Ninth Ward Festival right after this call to meet with some city leaders and community leaders in the Lower Ninth Ward where our project is in New Orleans. And then on Tuesday and Wednesday, we have meetings in the sheriff office with working with the inmates in the general populations, and the next day the inmates that are in the school as a part of our project working on reducing crime in it and getting them to be productive and better citizens. So anyway, that's my story. I was trying to talk to Carol Ruth, come on. Marion, will you give her a call? Give Carol Ruth a call and see. I know she had a crisis last night. She didn't tell me what it was, but she said it's she did have a crisis. So let's check and see if she's coming on the call.
Okay, we'll do.
Yeah, just put yourself on mute. Yeah, got it. And then give her a call. Thank you. So the word of the month. Now I saw Marion pronounce it differently, and then we both looked up the word, and there's a couple of different pronunciations for poussant. It's poussant or poussant or pousse. So we heard it different ways. So I'm gonna just say it my way, and anyone is welcome to say however you want. So the word today is poussant. And that means it really highlights the women that you are. And it's about it's the power and influence, and not coming from ego, but the power and influence that you were all born with, that innate power, and that you were all gifted in a certain way, and that God already knew who you were even when you were babies, and the work and the kind of work that you were going to, that you would be doing. Sean, I'm so sorry, someone's at the door. Shantae? Could you hold on one second? Someone's at the door. I'm by my brother, my daughter's here, and so family's here, so things are a little different. I just heard someone shaking the doorknob trying to get in, so anyway, sorry about that, ladies. But anyway, the word is that power, and it's about the legacies, leaving a legacy, being legends, trailblazers, impactors, fearless, and just making a huge difference and leaving your legacy. And I am so proud to know all of you. Marion, were you able to get Carol Ruth?
Yes, she is having computer trouble, and so she's switching computers right now and trying to
Okay.
log in.
That's fine. So I'll tell a little bit about Carol, and we'll keep going until she can come on, or if she can't come on, all things, we'll figure it out. We're always turning things around. We have our plan, and then God has his. So with that said, Carol Ruth, and I was so impressed by her. She is also an author. And Vanessa, I wanted to let you know that we do have members who are in other countries. and their communicators are not able to be. So you be on a call today and you'll get a chance to meet them as well. So I'm just trying to embrace you because you're just so young and we want to all, you know, become mentors to you as well. You have some fearless, godly, authentic women who are legends in their own right. So I met Carol Ruth at a function that Paula gave. Paula's one of our members, and Carol Ruth had a book with her, and she said, this is my book. And I saw a lady on the cover of the book with the scarf on her head and with the little prison tab on it. And so I thought she had written about this woman, but that woman was her. And then she went on to tell me that she was fighting for civil rights, and she got on a bus headed to Jackson, Mississippi. When she got off the bus, that she was arrested. And when she was in prison, she, like I just called the word fearless as who you are, she was definitely fearless because she stole documents from the prison in order to write in her book what the prison was actually doing, and then publicized it. She not so that she can help her cause. And then she ran for Congresswoman, came in very close, and she did become a supervisor, which is like a councilman for New Orleans, a supervisor of San Francisco. And she's known now, because it was years ago, she's known now as one of San Francisco's legends. And she's worked with girls and women in Afghanistan, building a school that fell loose, and she's rebuilding that. But she's been helping the young girls and the young women and know that she can be put in jail or killed for doing so, but she's still pursuing that. And now she has a project working in Africa. So we want her to talk a little bit more when if she's able to get on about her project in Africa. So let's just get started on, there she is. She's coming on now. Carol, can you unmute?
Yes.
Thank you.
Can you
So
hear me now?
I did it. Go ahead.
Can you hear me now?
Yes, I can hear you now.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we're
All
doing
right.
rising. Can you
Thank
hear
you.
me now? Okay. So I introduced you already, and you know how I highly talk about you, but we talked about the word persona. Sorry about that. We talked about the word persona, and that word means influence and power, and that influence and power you definitely have. We talked about it being, and the kind of woman that you are, being a legend, with a trailblazer, impactful, fearless. And then again, and this is for all of you, but you know, we highlighting Carol, soft-spoken and a real woman, you know, and a lady. So my mom taught me growing up that when you get older, and when I was a little girl, she said, when you get older, you will grow up to be a woman. And it takes a lot to be a lady. There's a difference. Being a lady is being humble, knowing how to carry yourself, knowing how to act, knowing how to handle community. And Carol Ruth, you're the epitome of that. I am so proud of you and the work that you've done worldwide. And we talked about the work that you did as a civil rights leader, being a supervisor. But what we'd like to hear about now, and if anyone have any questions, they're welcome to ask. But what about we want to hear about the work you're doing in Africa. You just came back?
Okay.
Yeah, is that?
Yes.
Yes. Is that okay with you?
You mean for me to talk about it?
Yes.
Sure. I have a long-standing friendship with a guy whose name is Mallory Pierce, who was one of my friends in college. So that goes back to the 1950s. And he married his second wife, and they live in Georgia at a place called Tybee Island. And his second wife is a retired nurse, an African-American woman, tall and statuesque, and very, very outspoken, a puissant woman, as you use that term in this discussion. And among other things that she has done on the island of Tybee, where they live, is to organize something called Tybee MLK. Tybee Island is, it's basically now a suburb of Savannah, Georgia, because they built a bridge from Savannah to Tybee Island, which was just off the coast. And now people live in Tybee and work in Savannah, or they go back and forth. So she, in her little town, organized this organization, Tybee MLK, as in Martin Luther King, in order to celebrate the birthday of Martin Luther King, when that became a national holiday. And she organized a little parade. She organized a series of events. She and I were talking about all these things and that she was doing. And I was, the link to pwiconnections.com is in the article, Marian says in the chat. She came up with the idea that because Tybee Island off the coast of Savannah was the first port of call of the slave ships in the 1870s, 1860s, the slave ships came from Ghana, which is in Africa and is kind of directly across. It's the shortest route, I think, from Ghana to the United States, stops at Tybee Island. And there, the poor, unfortunate people who had been enslaved in Africa and were now being sold into slavery in the United States, or at least in Georgia, were unloaded there and were kept there until the auctions, the slave auctions, were held in Savannah, in the city of Savannah. So I had been involved in Sister City, in the Sister City organization, which is a national and international organization that pairs up cities from different parts of the world and helps people get to know people in other parts of the world. And I said we should, she said she wanted to go to Ghana and greet and make friends with people who did not get captured and sold into slavery, but who were there and were in these little towns, one town called Elmira and the other town called Cape Coast, that were where the Portuguese slave ships came to pick up their cargo. So we put together a trip, she and I, to go to Ghana and to, with the help of the World Trade Center Savannah, which is like a Chamber of Commerce kind of thing, to promote trade between Savannah, the city of Savannah, and other places. And so Julia and I went in, I think it was April or May of this year. We met many very lovely and interesting people. We toured a number of places, including the prisons where slaves were held sometimes for a year or so in these absolute dungeons before they were shipped out. And it was incredibly interesting and depressing, but we went, we saw, we made friends, and now Savannah, Georgia is hosting, Savannah and Tybee are going to be hosting the mayor of Cape Coast, which is one of the towns, and of Accra, which is the capital of Ghana, I think in October of this year. And I'm looking forward to taking a quick trip to Georgia in order to meet with some of the people that I've already met with when Julia and I went there. So the purpose of Sister City relationships is to encourage trade, encourage knowledge, to do things like have children from one school send pictures to the other school. There's already been some exchanges of children's work that were set up by Julia. So that's what I'm doing in that regard. It's not what I would like to be doing, which is to gather money and food and, help the poorest of the poor, who often are neglected. But we're talking about a middle class relationship of people who are store owners and teachers, and who are not really not in hardship situation. And I think part of why I'm interested in doing this is because for Americans, our image, or for many people, the image of Africa is about 300 years out of date. We do not recognize that Africans have a huge cultural, a huge culture. That when we were there near Accra, Julia and I went to look at some condos that had been built in a huge tall building, and that were being sold at prices similar to prices of condos in the United States. And they were being bought up very quickly by pilots who were flying airplanes that landed at the Accra airport. And these condos were very convenient for them to have a place to live because of their jobs. So it's more an educational opportunity than it is is to encourage poor the poor people who live in Africa, of whom there are many, and there's a great need for assistance from other parts of the world, but my current experience in Ghana and in Africa has been much more middle class.
That's
So
so
that's what
awesome. That you are just the epitome of what we're talking about today. And I really applaud you for all your work. And it wasn't that long ago that you went to Africa. A couple of weeks ago, a month ago.
A couple of months ago, yeah.
Yeah. And you're still going. You got the ever ready battery is definitely still in your back, moving and moving. Thank you for
Yes,
all the work
yes.
that you've done. Yes.
Thank you.
And New Orleans still has
I think something.
I knew you were here in New Orleans a few months ago and doing some work.
With Julia.
Yeah. And they gave you a letter, but they have another gift for you, which I will be bringing back when I get back.
Oh.
So.
All right.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah. Here now. And I just wanted to share my beautiful necklace, my birthday present, and my birthday is today, as you all should know. All said that, you know, I'm not should know, but
yeah.
This is from Marion. Sent me a birthday as well as a birthday. I know, it's gorgeous, as well as a birthday card.
Oh. That's lovely. Isn't that
That's a
sweet?
beautiful card. So thank you so much. So I want to hear from all of you on this word on croissant. And what do you see in it as being the powerful and an influencer? And sometimes you're just doing you, and you're doing what you feel you taking care of something you feel, and all of a sudden people look at you as an influencer, and you didn't really realize that. I mean, you're just doing things from your heart. You're putting, like Mary is putting people together, and she had to even name her business influencer, because she's connecting people globally and impacting the world. And all of those people that you have touched, and there's so many people you didn't know that you touched. So I'm here in New Orleans, what I mentioned early on the call, with relatives from all over. Little kids when I knew them, and now with bigger kids coming to hug me. Auntie Val, thank you so much. You did this, and I did, So we impact people without really knowing it, because that's our destiny. We were born into greatness, and not really even, you were doing you. So I wanted to hear from some of you on the word croissant, being an influencer, being powerful, and just being authentic. And how does that play out in your life? What do you see about yourself in your life and the people that you've impacted, or anything about leaving a legacy, making a difference? So let me hear from Dr. Marcia Canton first. You're on mute.
I unmute. Okay, now I'm unmuted. What I saw when I read the word croissant meant power and influence, but I realized that doesn't have to be loud. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. You can move and you can influence others in your own quiet way. And the way that I've learned how to do it is first have a vision, and to know what it is I'm going for, what I want, and just share the vision. Yeah. And there are people who embrace the same vision, and they'll come along with you. But I think it has to be very clear in your mind where you're going, what it is you want to achieve. I want to see more students of color in healthcare. I want to see more students of color out in the community helping indigenous populations. And so I just share the vision. And for me, that's the power that I have, is just having a passion and just sharing that with others.
Got it. That's beautiful. That was well said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mary, you're on mute.
I
Since
know.
your
I
business
had
is
to get to
the
it. Yeah, it's funny because, like you said, you just do what you do. I don't even think about it as being anything else anymore. And, I get to the point where, people will ask for things. And I just was dealing with somebody asking for help in Uganda right now, who actually is from the United States. It's a person I want to hook up with, Vanessa, that actually came to me and said they've got a job in Uganda and they're trying to figure out how to get paid from Uganda in a safe, reliable way. Okay. So the funny thing is they came to me, and these are security professionals. This is what they do for, they do the security, the physical security stuff for a living. But what I think for me, Poisson, is when I see it in the eyes of mentees, young girls that I've been able to mentor. And I think that's what you were talking about, Valerie, when we, a couple of years ago, I did a sort of a mentorship program with about 5 or 6 girls from around the world, and ended up putting them together to do a global poetry booklet for the United Nations on the International Day of the Girl Child. Whoa, what an experience. Because if you ask 14-year-old girls from around the world to talk about anything they want to talk about in poetry form, you're going to get what's on their minds. And a lot of it is stuff we couldn't publish, but it broke our hearts. And all the same, I mean, some we could, but some you don't publish for fear of it would hurt them. It would come back to bear on them. But the girls that I mentored then are still in my life now. The 13-year-old that I mentored a few years ago is 16 and a half now. She's got her own podcast. she's
That's what it's about.
I mean, she's amazing. And she's out of Tanzania. And then the one out of India who was very, very shy, I hooked her up with a lead researcher out of India, and that gal was putting on a major summit that involved youth voices. I asked Shatali if she'd like to be a part of that. She included her, and Shatali went, and I didn't think she would do it, but she did. And so that makes me, that makes my heart feel good. And I feel like, I don't know that she would have done that without me pushing her a little bit. So maybe that's that Poisson. I don't know. I don't know, but I'm hoping so. And so, I get them come back to me every now and again. I had one from Kenya come back the other day saying we need to catch up. And, she's older than the rest, but she's still a young girl, and I want to help, So that's where I think I see it, and it makes me smile and it makes my heart glad, because I feel like I'm leaving a little bit of a legacy, behind. So
That is so awesome.
Valerie, I have a question. I just noticed here. Are you recording this? It's not showing any lines or anything. It's not.
It's
It is
recording.
recording.
it's in the corner.
Yes.
On
we
mine,
are.
it's not.
Yes, it's being recorded. It's saying recording on my side, so.
Okay. Fine, great. As long as as it is being recorded, it doesn't show on mine like it normally does.
It's showing up on mine as being recorded also.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, thank you. Okay, Denise, what about you?
So what occurred for me is recalling, I guess, my days as a student, the different dimensions of power, or types of power. So there's power with and power over. And so just giving credit to Mary Parker Follett, who was a leading social worker, a pioneer in the field of social work back in the 30s. But there's coercive power, where you force people to do things. And then there's the power of speaking. So, one of the most well-known might be Dr. King, who was an extraordinarily powerful person, is known around the world for decades. He didn't have an army. He didn't have guns. He didn't have money. But he was nevertheless powerful. And then you think of some of the most powerful people, like people power, who are overcome by people power, people who don't have money, poverty, who fight for their own rights because they recognize their inherent power as a result of their humanity. When they recognize their humanity and that their dignity and their rights can be, and they can advocate for themselves, that's also power. And even people in leadership positions who have money, who are influential, can be overcome by people power. So anyway, so that's what I think about the different types of power. And to me, PWI personifies the collaborative power, like the power of working together. You have all powerful women who are out to make a difference in the world. Why? How do they do that? Because they say so. The power of their speaking and being in a collaborative, mutually supportive, morale boosting group gives us all power versus other types of power. So that's what I think about when I hear power, the different aspects of power, and just as a reminder of the type of power that we want to exercise.
Hey, awesome. Thank you.
Beautiful.
Dr.
Beautiful.
Honeycutt, are you with us?
Yes, I am
There
with
she
you.
is.
Hey,
Oh, you lovely ladies, you're so wonderful. You really are. Okay, so when I think about this word, my goal is not to be powerful, because that connotes to me a sort of necessity to stroke yourself and to have an ego when you don't need ego. What you need is God. Okay. But you have to be committed to God, as far as I'm concerned, and the greater good. And in my case, I'm committed to doing what God is calling me to do his work, and to do great things for other people. I like what Marcia said. You don't have to be loud to be powerful. As far as I'm concerned, as long as the divine, our Father God, knows what you're doing and is opening up these paths so that you can do these things, that's all you really need. I hope I'm coming across to you. I just do the work. Do the work. Sometimes just your presence. I went into a bookstore in San Francisco. The bookstore happens to be at West Portal. A couple of young people behind the counter who were clerks engaged me in conversation. They're always so happy when they see me. And I'm happy when I see them, to be honest with you. But I was able to talk to them about things that my grandmother told me when I was growing up. Grandmother used to say, I'm not going to take a long time with this, folks, because I like hearing you most, to be honest with you. There's enough for everybody's needs, but not enough for everybody's greed. One young person took out her
beautiful.
Absolutely.
and she wrote that down. She said, "What did you say, Dr. Honeycutt? Say that again." And I said, the other thing my grandmother taught me is you treat everybody with dignity and respect. Don't be looking at color and all that stuff. With whoever you meet, you do the best you can for that person. Okay? You love that person. Okay? So, and do what God would want you to do with that person. So I know you have to move quickly with this, Valerie, and it's very hard for me to be quick when it comes to some of these principles that pertain to God. When I hear Carol Ruth Silver talk about what she's doing, I'm sure that she realizes that's God guiding her to do those things. When I hear Connie talking about that marvelous work that she's doing with the veterans who need support so badly.
Yeah.
I was looking at some mini homes and thinking, I wonder if Connie has had a chance to look at these. You're doing marvelous work, all of you. Wonderful Joanne with that book on forgiveness that I quoted in my book. Read that book, Forgiveness. We got to learn how to forgive and keep loving one another. Okay, so that's basically when I hear power, I don't like the world's notion of power if it means the acquisition of wealth where you are cutting off other people from having an opportunity to live successfully and well. I mean, am I making that clear, Valerie?
Yes,
Do you understand
you
what
are.
I'm saying to you? And people just need to do the work. I mean, and be grateful to God each day. I contacted my grandson. He had to do a business appointment with his colleagues in Vietnam. God brought him to Vietnam and back safely. Praise God. You understand? Be grateful for the things that he does for all of us.
Right.
Valerie's reached another birthday, and she's still looking like she's 25.
Right.
Okay. All right. There we
I'll
go.
take that
That's
one.
a blessing. That's a blessing, Valerie. Come on now. Okay.
Right.
I love all of you, and thank you for letting me speak with you.
Got it. Okay, I'm gonna call on you next, Vanessa. What do you think about the word? What do you think about our community? Let's hear from you.
Well, I really like what was shared just in terms of being an influencer. I mean, there's a lot of ways to influence people, but I think the ways that I tend to lean into and I gravitate towards others that influence out of their passion for caring for somebody. And so, you know, while they're in the business of doing the work, others are joining them in that. And that's the influence. It's not about, you know, sort of that capitalistic thing where you're kind of strategizing and coming in and like, how am I going to take this over? Or how am I going to dominate these people? Or how am I going to love the quote, you know, that quote, enough for everyone's needs, not everyone's greed. I mean, you know, that's just perfect. But knowing that you are for everyone and in all of their differences, and you want to understand everyone, and you want people to be uplifted, heard, seen, and there's just something about kind of staying to that. And certainly that is, you know, my position on that is informed by my own life of trauma and kind of being not seen. And so it's really a passion of mine to make sure that people feel seen, heard, and cared for. And I think it's just infectious to be that kind of person. And so it's informed by my own experience and also my love for the Lord. And kind of orienting everything that I do towards, you know, his values, and that he's taught me to put people above myself, or to serve people in the way that I would want to be served. That's an influential thing to do. Who knew, right? Who knew? So I'm not, and I love the point made earlier that it's not my intention to influence others. It's just happened organically. I'm always shocked, you know, when people are like, "Oh my gosh, I listened to you on the radio." They stop me in the, you know, in the store or wherever, and I'm like, these people listen to me.
Yeah, exactly.
and then I go, and why can't I get my kids to do that? No.
That's a different story.
And you know, it always gives me comfort to know, I'm like, you know, the Lord even can't get his kids to listen to him. So hey, I'm doing all right.
I got it.
Anyway, all right. Well, that's my 2 cents on this kind of powerful, influential woman perspective. So
Great.
thank you for letting me share.
You're welcome. Connie, what does this word
Well,
mean to you?
I'm first of all the people on here, the messages of empowerment are so obvious that they are making a difference in the world, and how much I appreciate each and every one of you. You inspire me. For my, I know everybody thinks this is about veterans, but I care deeply about climate. I care deeply about mental health, and food security. And that's what our village is about. It's a pilot program to help veterans because they're the ones that are not getting any help because they can't advocate for themselves. But we want to use this as a pilot to show that there's sustainable living that can that will meet any fire, any hurricane, and we can grow food in our containers, and we can do so much. But the most important thing is the app to help with post-traumatic stress and help with anxiety, panic attacks. We have this incredible technology. We know so much about brain chemicals. I just want us to use it to help people, not just veterans, seniors who are getting dementia, kids in foster care who've been bounced around all over. Many of them, by the way, end up in the service looking for their forever home. Right. So that's what empowerment would mean to me, is to just get this pilot program going and replicate it.
Thank you.
That's it.
Awesome.
That's all.
And Joanne, do you have anything to say?
I'll say just a little bit. Yeah, I was sitting here listening and thinking, I have always wondered what Carol Ruth does. I mean, when she's been on previously, she has said some things, but not that much about what she's actually doing and the power of it and that sort of thing. Or at least I didn't hear it that way. I have paid attention because I send out cards to everyone in PWIC. I had noticed Carol Ruth, and I mean, what I had noticed most, and I don't know if she's here. She doesn't seem to be in the picture now. I don't know if she's still listening.
Carol Ruth, are you with us? Everyone is acknowledging you. If you can hear us, go ahead. And I'll talk to her.
Is that she's been in jail or prison at least twice, maybe more. I don't know, and it doesn't seem to bother her at all. No. I mean, she's doing it for a purpose.
Yes.
And she's on purpose when she's in prison. And to me, I am just blown away with that. I just think it's awesome. And she doesn't come out and talk about how awful life is in prison and all kinds of things that she could just drag on about and so on. She doesn't. I'm impressed. I've been looking forward to this, what we did building up to today, and hearing her talk, and because I wanted to hear from her, and I have wanted to, because she has impressed me all along, even though I haven't ever heard very much from her. She has impressed me that she continues doing things, even though it seemed to me that she got in trouble or got stopped, or they tried to stop her, or what, from doing the good that she was doing. And I just was so glad to be able to have this to read and to study and to hear from her today. And I'm looking forward to hearing more and seeing what else she creates out there in the world. I'm just blown away with all that she's doing, and grateful to hear about it, and that she knows she's doing what God wants her to do, and she's very clear about that.
Yes.
And I just I'm impressed that she was on and spoke with us today, and that we had the build up to it, the part to read and study coming into it. So thank you, Marion, for doing that, and for getting her on and sharing with us like she did. It was great. I feel like I know her a little better now, and I hope that one day I'll be able to meet her and talk with her in person. That would just be awesome, in my opinion. But I'm just impressed with all that she's doing and what it means and standing as a woman without getting, without saying anything like, I wish I could kill someone, this makes me want to shoot somebody or something. In Texas, that's what I hear a lot from all kinds of people. And
Carol Ruth, they're
I
talking
just,
about you.
I Carol Ruth.
They've been
Only good things.
acknowledging you. I was calling Carol Ruth, or you, but they just
Yeah.
acknowledge the power of
Yes.
who you are, authentic, and yeah, you are the poster child today for our word.
You are the poster child for all of us in this organization. We all do different things, but you are the one who keeps going through thick and thin. No matter what happens to you, no matter what gets said, what gets done or not done or refused or what, you keep going. And I have just been watching you over the years, and so glad to hear from you today, and to read about you building up to this call today. And I thank you. I thank you for all you're doing. And I hope someday we can meet, and I'd like to talk with you in person. I would love nothing better than to sit down and just drink a cup of coffee and talk for
I'm
half an hour
here.
to an hour.
I have my coffee now. I apologize that I left the meeting to go get my coffee. But I'm here anytime.
Great. Okay. Well, maybe I'll just call you sometime and say, hey, when can you
That
talk?
sounds great.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Thank you. So I'm done. That's it for me. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you so much. So Marion, you wrote the word, and I saved you for last. So let's hear from you.
Yeah, basically like Joanne was saying, I've seen Carol Ruth on our calls and have heard some things about, what she's been up to, but being able to write the article, I learned so much more about Carol Ruth and her service. She has gone through hard times, and she still maintains her power and gives back. And the whole slavery issue being current was new to me. I mean, I thought all those things were in the past, and they're not. We are still trafficking people, and we need to be aware of what's going on in the world. And I feel as though, looking at the word puissant, just brought me back to us being authentic in who we are, and knowing that we don't need our egos.
Yes.
We don't need that to be powerful. And, like Joanne, writing her book on gratefulness, we can't have our power if we're not grateful for everything we already have. So, Denise, where she was talking about the different kinds of powers, that just opened up a whole plethora of things: coercive power, people power, advocate power, collaborative power, and of course, connecting power. Yeah. And that hit home for me. We're all here to connect with each other and to make the world a better place. Right. And the sooner, I feel as though all of us are working together with that. But know that, if we're authentic with ourselves and we can present ourselves to other people as being our authentic self and offering our gifts and what we have to give back, then we have the power to go ahead and do what we need to do. And the people are given to us. Look at Lorelei and her 5.5-week project. That was miraculous. there's no way. She didn't know how to do it. Her ladies didn't know how to build a village, a tourist attraction. That was the whole thing. She just came together and said, we're going to do this. And God gave her the people and the materials, and it was done. So I just feel as though, don't be shy, reach out, connect with our ladies, know that every one of us has our abilities and our talents to give back. And I'm just so thankful for all of you, and especially for Carol Ruth and all of her service. Praise God. Thank you all.
Yes. Okay, Dr. Carolyn Scott trying to get on. That's why I was.
Oh, okay.
This has been a really incredible call. I really appreciate, and I appreciate all of the birthday wishes. And also, for those who were not on the call earlier, Denise Strong and I are going to the Lower Ninth Ward, since I am in New Orleans, and we're meeting with the city leaders and the community leaders about the Lower Nine. They have a festival there to raise awareness and getting the community together. So we are going to attend that. And as I said, and any of you who know people in Louisiana, I ask that you put the word out that it's new term for governor, and Governor Sean Wilson is from New Orleans. He's a Democrat, and we're trying to get him in office. So put the word out to anyone that you know is in Louisiana, because he knows about our project and he wants to support us. So let's get him in. Yeah, so just it's Sean Wilson running for governor in Louisiana. So please, anyone you know in Louisiana, let's do a shout out and encourage your people. Vanessa, I want to hear from you. I want to know, this is your first call and we do welcome you. I know you heard Carol Ruth. I don't know if I introduce Vanessa. She's a new member and she's in Oakland. And she worked with human trafficking, and she has some incredible things going on there. I'm so proud of her. And I told her then, since we're older than she is, we can be her mentor. Yeah, for all of us, and keep her going as she, change lives and help people too. There you are, Miss America.
Far from it.
So, Dr.
Well,
Scott,
Valerie, before you go on, we haven't heard anything from Vanessa, my neighbor across the bay in Oakland. Can you tell us something about your project?
Yes, I would love to.
Thank you, Carol.
So yeah, I'm originally from Pennsylvania. I was raised in San Francisco. So I was excited to see that you were a supervisor in the city, and my mom still lives in the Fillmore district. And so I was raised in the Mission district and also in the Western Addition, and Fillmore, so kind of around those areas. But a little bit about me that I think might be helpful is I was in foster care as a child. I experienced a great deal of abuse. My mom was a survivor of domestic violence. We came here when she was 21. She had me when she was 19, and came to the Bay at when she was very young. And actually, she would have been 22 or 3 by then, but we moved to Florida and then here. And so grew up in pretty difficult circumstances, and decided that but one kind of staying thing for me was that I would love the arts. So I was in every artistic thing you could think of: dance, singing. I was in McAteer School of the Arts. I went to Betty May Studio and did tap dance. I did, ballet. I was in the San Francisco Children's Choir. Just anything artistic I could get my hands on growing up. I loved school and arts. So when I got older, I decided I was going to teach inner city kids dance. And I had moved to the East Bay, and I started a dance team in San Leandro at my church. And we had upwards of 75 girls, boys, babies in our classes. And at one point, and one of my 15-year-old dance students was raped in the city of Hayward, California, and then sold throughout California for a year. And that when I was rudely introduced to human trafficking. And I had all these myths in my head. Oh, I thought this was only with people from somewhere else, another country, or oh, aren't there all these services for people that are, here that are being trafficked? I just thought that I had all these myths in my mind. I didn't realize, I didn't know what trauma bonding was. I didn't know what Stockholm syndrome was. I didn't know what, how exploiters groom people. I didn't know what the tactics were, none of that. And here I was teaching kids dance, and she was sitting there under my nose being groomed by this exploiter who was a Romeo pimp who had convinced her that she was his girlfriend, and then, then eventually productize their relationship. And so from there, I had many, many months of just crying almost every day, looking for my student because she had stopped coming to dance. And, I was just heartbroken by that. And anyway, eventually we were able to get her into a program in Arizona where she was stabilized, and she was adopted by one of our volunteers. And now she's 27, and she graduated from high school with honors, and she's still, has a lot of trauma that she's recovering from, but she's doing much, much better. But that birth Love Never Fails, and that was in 2011. And we've been in place now for 12 years. We've opened 7 homes, 2 homes for women and children, 1 home for girls ages 13 to 17, 1 home for girls that are aging out of the foster care system, 18 to 21-year-olds, and 3 homes for men, 1 of which is for men that have been previously incarcerated, and mostly lifers. And our philosophy on all of this is that the more I've gotten into this, so I thought initially I was just doing human trafficking. And then I started to realize that, human trafficking was symptomatic of something much greater. And so then my heart started going out to veterans, and my heart started going out to the undocumented, and my heart started going out to the incarcerated and the abused and people who had high ACEs, and, and just anyone who was vulnerable, who was hurting, was susceptible and easily preyed upon by an exploiter or exploitative practices. And the more, even we're going to do a show. October is National Substance Abuse Awareness Month, and we're going to do a show about how big pharma is very exploitative in nature, and preying on people's vulnerability of being in pain, and feeding them drugs, as a way to solve their problem. Basically, white collar pimping is what it is. And and so there's so many practices that are in our world that, that are capitalistic and really about taking advantage of people in their worst times in life. And so I've just kind of made it my mission in life to make sure that no matter what the scenario is, human trafficking, sex trafficking is really our core competency. And now we have our homes, and we also have an IT academy where we help people get economically sustainable jobs. So we train 200 students annually for careers in IT, which is my background, by the way. So I ended up, despite all of my challenges, I ended up getting into the tech industry and doing quite well. My last position was as a global sales leader for Cisco Systems. So I've bridged that together, and but my mission in life is really to make sure that people, who, no matter who they are, they feel seen, they feel cared for, that I meet them with some kind of resource, with some kind of referral, with some kind of acknowledgement, And the last thing I'll say is that I do have I've been working pretty feverishly on some work with the San Francisco supervisors, because I don't know if you guys saw, but in California, they legalized loitering for the purpose of prostitution in January throughout the state, and it's caused an increase in sex trafficking 3x since they've done that. And so Cap Street in particular in San Francisco became kind of a de facto red light district when they did that. They've put up barricades now and they've stopped kind of the traffic, but you know, if you saw the videos on it, your head would spin, because on any given night there would be like 100 girls out there that were selling sex, and they would just be going through like a McDonald's drive-through, you know, picking who they want. The neighbors they went to the news, and they were being shot at, they were being robbed on their way to their cars. Just a horrible scene. And yeah, so it's been they put up some barricades, so that put a stop to that, but now they're dispersed now to Oakland. So they're over off of East 14th and East 15th, where again we see a bunch of trafficking going on. And there's an interesting narrative that's going around about the kind of the difference between sex trafficking and sex work, which I could talk about later. I have a whole curriculum on coercion versus choice, and also just a variety of other training kind of lenses that I like to take things through. I loved the point about public health and health, you know, that Dr. Canton made. I think you'll find that my perspective is that of a humanitarian and that of someone who's looking at things from a public health perspective. And so that's what I've been up to. I hope I wasn't too long, but yeah.
That's incredible. It's really incredible work.
Oh, thank
so
you, Valerie.
awesome.
And happy birthday, by the way.
Thank you.
I
And
didn't know
by
it was
you
your
being on
birthday.
being on the call for the first time, what do you think about our incredible women?
Well, they're just what you said, incredible. And just to get, you know, have such an intimate time together is so special.
It is.
And be able to hear from people who
Absolutely. Absolutely.
normally wouldn't get access to like that. So I appreciate it.
That's so great. Hi, Dr. Scott.
Good morning, ladies. Good morning, everyone.
Hi.
Morning.
Hello.
Morning, Miss Cal Ruth. Yes, happy birthday, Valerie.
Thank you.
Yes.
Rating your
A
life.
birthday necklace from Maria.
Oh,
Oh,
how
wow.
gorgeous.
Yeah.
Really nice.
Gorgeous.
Amazed
Yeah.
with listening to Vanessa's testimony and her story. Just amazing. Just all of our women are just so resilient. And as our word today, is it a pursuant, or how do we? Croissant. Croissant. Is that French or what?
It sounds like it.
Yes,
Yeah,
it does.
meaning
Croissant
power
sounds.
and influence. And I said power and
Yes.
influence without ego.
Uh-huh. Sounds like it came from New Orleans. Croissant. Croissant. And
Yes, it does.
Vanessa, are you in San Francisco or the East Bay? Where are you?
So I'm actually in Central Valley right now, because every time we have my husband and I are pastors, and we
Okay.
have 7 kids.
Oh my.
And
Wow.
every time
Wow.
a
You've
kid
been
has gone
busy.
to college, we go and move further and further out. So we're in the Central Valley now, which is, you know, quite a ways away from San Francisco, about an hour and a half, about an hour and 15. But we're in the Bay Area. We have offices in San Francisco, San Mateo County, East Palo Alto specifically, San Jose, Antioch, Richmond. We do a lot of work in Richmond, Oakland, Hayward, Dublin. So we're very much immersed in the Bay Area, but we live right by Tracy in a city called Mountain House.
Okay. And so your congregation is located where?
in Hayward. But we're getting ready to, we're actually transitioning. So we have two churches, one in Hayward and one in Fremont. But my husband is an assistant supervisor for International Foursquare Gospel. So he is out over 140 some odd churches. And so he's been going and filling pulpits in that capacity. So it's not, we're not going to be able to keep those two churches. So we're going to hand those over to two other pastor couples and kind of be wandering, supervising pastors.
Foursquare, are you aware of the Johnsons, Laversi and Leroy, and Sonia? She's a pastor in San Francisco with Foursquare, Brunswick.
Yes. Oh, yes. My goodness. Absolutely.
Mission director for years, but we've gone through years and years of ministry in San Francisco together, and with so many outreaches. So offline, we'll need to have a conversation. I'd like to hear more about the human
I'll do
trafficking.
an introduction. I'll do email introduction. I'm writing it down.
Thank you.
So Dr. Scott, will you talk about the word for yourself?
You know, at this today, needing to be strong, and the resilience of even influence. Right now, I'm preparing to start packing, getting ready to go for this Presidential Lifetime Achievement Award in Atlanta. And I'm feeling like I don't even know if I can pack my suitcase to get it. I'm so depleted of energy. And it's probably, they said, that long-term effect from COVID, Marcia. I've gotten sleep, I've gotten rest, but it's like I could just go lay down again. And then I got tackled last Saturday by someone, what they call now is spoofing, where they take the phone number and name of a bank department, and it's literally the real number, but they copy pasted it over their number, and they call you and pretend someone is committing fraud. So I had to go and, as a bottom line result, change my bank, close it down, raise another one up, change all my cards, passwords, go to Social Security. I'm just so tired from all of that. I don't know what to do. But it was this police department. So, but at the same time, I was dealing with a couple of crises. And so no time to just sit and try and sulk or, just not move. I needed to be strong, and I needed to use influence wherever I went with the conversation so that they would expedite and get things moving to protect me, so that when I leave our day to day, I'm safe. So this word, when I just peeked at it, says a lot. And as I was listening to Vanessa and knowing Carol, the first thing I thought about was her strength when she was incarcerated, her strength when she took bread and just the meager little things, finding something almost out of nothing, led to do something that would make sense, that through the cells, communicating with people and playing chess at a time when, I'm sure her parents were devastated, and I'm sure everyone around her was just as afraid of the environment and what they were doing. But I think, God, she had to be so strong, Lord. And that resilience and moving on. And I think of how, on our trip, Carol, on the bus, you so strongly finally gave in to saying, okay, I'll volunteer for the time of the talent show. And she picks all of these amazing songs from the civil rights movement, how, it takes God's strength, how it takes us to move forward. Ain't gonna let nobody turn me around. And literally, from that freedom over me. And before I become a slave, and there she was in front, I'll be buried in my grave and go home to the Lord and be free, So I'm just so grateful at this time when I feel so depleted, yet so strengthened by all of our life's journey. Joanne, I think of you and how she so stays on top of everything. And she could even be laying from a hospital bed or laying on her
Yeah,
back.
she's done that. Yes. In the hospital bed, on the call with us.
and still
I loved it.
Marion, how she gave me her testimony. It's like, wow, she's been through a lot, through the storms and the fire. And yet she still comes up with words of resilience and power and faith and strength and peace and love. And Marcia, her stories of how she had to alone battle opposition just to be a nurse, just to serve people that didn't want her serving. And yet now she's Dr. Canton. And so I'm so pleased with all of us. Connie, Laura Lee, oh my God, you shot me off like a rocket to the moon with your story. I'm so pleased with how we are moving in spite of the opposition with Passant. And, the bravery, the courageousness that it takes to go on in spite of, as Vanessa said, in spite of the hardships, in spite of everything that said no, and you're nothing, or you won't make it, or, just devaluing with a brutal physical punishment for what, yet, here we are, faithfully, still serving, still standing, still sitting, and doing what needs to be done, and doing what's right for social justice, peace, and just to be light in darkness. I love that. Leaders shine, being Passant. And so great word. And thank you so much for bringing it to us. I never heard it before. It's like shining a light.
Yeah.
Yes.
Can you add that to our vocabulary? Marion come up with some incredible words. Some of them we cannot pronounce, and it takes a while, but I love them all. Yeah.
And so are you home, or are you still?
No, I'm still in New Orleans. Dr. Denise Strong and Denise lives in New Orleans. So we have, right after this call, she's on her way to me. She's not that far. I'm by my brother right now. And my daughter's here and 4 of her kids. I'm really happy about that. And we have relatives like from all over. And I'll tell you more about that. But anyway, we are going to meet with city and community leaders in the Lower Ninth Ward after this call. And so they have a festival there to bring awareness, and they invited us to meet some of the city leaders. So I also asked, if you were not on the call, anyone that have connections in Louisiana, to please ask them to vote for Sean Wilson, who's running for governor, because he knows us, he knows about us, and he would love to support us as governor of Louisiana. So please put the word out to all of your contacts and their contacts and contacts. You had something to say, Lorelei?
Yes. Since all of us are dealing with trying to empower women, and I finally finished my class, my master class, but I produced an ebook that sort of is an introduction to it, because everybody was asking, how could the women do what we did in 5 weeks? And we did it because we did it as women versus the way men do things. And so I put this together, and the ebook is called 7 Keys to Kicking Butt, what they don't teach us in business school. And it just outlines the things that we did. And if I can post it, Val, on the PWIC website, okay? And there's an order blank that goes with it. It's $7, but if
yeah, put it on the Facebook page. We have an Instagram, and Paula knows that, but I'll contact you.
okay, and in the coupon code, if you put the word free, you can get it for free and read it. And it just gives you a good introduction into how the women were able to do what they did. And the course masterclass that I'm going to be teaching for women. And it goes along with being collaboratively strong. You know, we didn't beat anybody over the head to get this done. We did it.
We'll talk about it, but we can incorporate that as a part of the teaching the women in the who are incarcerated while I'm here.
Yes.
And, yeah. We also, Carolyn, I mentioned that we're also meeting in the sheriff's office on Tuesday and Wednesday to working with the general population inmates. And then on Wednesday, we're meeting with the students who are in the school that is in the sheriff, that's in the jail. So working with them. So I just wanted, while I'm here, I will be working on our project. So just to let you know.
Very good.
So we're about to close now. Anyone that has any information for me, or want to talk or need something, well, just please contact me. I have my cell phone. You have my cell numbers. The 504 number is my cell. Just give me a call, text me. Yeah. So Carolyn, will you pray us out?
Sure. And one question, did you ask your granddaughter about the InterVarsity?
I have
your
not.
granddaughter that's at state. Marcy,
No,
okay.
I haven't. I will do that. Yeah, and thank you for reminding me, because
Father,
we're in a whirlwind. Go ahead.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. That's going to be a lifeline for her. She will love it. It's exciting and so much more. I'll talk to you more about that offline as well.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
Yeah, bow your hearts and minds. Father, we bow our hearts and minds before you. God, we're so grateful on this day that you've created for your glory, oh God. So grateful for your presence. So grateful, oh God, for everyone on this line. And we're thankful for how you're keeping us, everyone related and connected. We're thankful, God, that you're light in darkness and that you help us as leaders to shine like a bright light before all darkness around us, because we are clear about no darkness in the whole world can put out one little candle. So thank you for the light of the Lord in our lives shining through us. Thank you for Passant, oh God, the ability to be strong, and the favor you give, oh God, that causes influence in the world around us, that helps us to meet the possible governors and the mayors and sheriff's department leaders that would help with the projects that you give us, oh God, to make the world a better place for those in Louisiana. And, oh God, the projects that are in our hands for the world around us individually. So God, we ask that you breathe on us, keep our family, God, and during this day, continue to guide us and lead us, oh God, in a pathway of righteousness, God, for your name's sake, that we can continue to doing those Carol Ruth Silver great things and saving lives and encouraging people and leading them to freedom and hope. Thank you for Vanessa. Thank you, oh God, for how she pulls people from the darkest places, and how she herself has risen out of the fire, oh God. And just as pure gold, just remaking plans for the lives and the hope and the health and wellness for others. Thank you for the Dr. Marcias. Thank you, oh God, for the Connies. Thank you for Marion. Thank you for, oh God, Joanne. Thank you, oh God, for Valerie, who leads, oh God, and we stand around her leadership as leaders, oh God, moving forward. So we ask, God, that as we separate from one another, but not from your presence, God, that you would just keep us, strengthen us, and guide us in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Thank
Amen.
you so much. Great prayer. Thank you, ladies. Welcome again, Vanessa.
Yeah, I look forward to meeting you. We may have been in each other's presence and not know. I'll have to go back some years and see exactly where your feet have touched the ground.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
Thank you so much. I really appreciate meeting all of you.
you
Yeah.
too.
Blessings to you all.
Oh,
Yes.
I just have one quick reminder. You know, when Valerie sends out notices, if you guys aren't getting them, or between us members, if you're not getting emails, like you send something and it just never goes, or you don't get it, check your junk mailbox. Be sure to check your junk email, because what happens is we have a new member like Vanessa with a new email address, and she's going to send you an email, and it may just go to your junk folder because it's unrecognizable, to your email. And sometimes you can make a little rule that just says, yeah, every time I get an email from her, put it in my inbox.
Yeah. Okay.
So something just to think about, make sure the communication's open and we're connecting.
And if I can add to that, put in the subject line that you're with PWIC. I
There you
get,
go.
without exaggeration, 300 emails a day. And sometimes I just clear my box out. So if you can do that, then I won't ignore you. I won't say that.
I did that to Marion yesterday. She was calling me and texting, and I just ignored it because of the fraud. And it's like,
Yes.
I don't know that number, and I'm not going to touch it. I'm not going to click it.
Yeah.
And finally, there was a portion that said PWIC, and I thought, okay, that's
Yes.
Okay.
thank you.
Great.
So
Thank you. Thank you, all
Good.
of you. Thank you,
See you
Mary.
all.
Yeah.
Bye.
And have a
Bye.
great weekend. Bye.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday, Val.
Happy
Thank
birthday.
you. Thank you.
Happy
Thank you.
birthday.
yeah, tell everyone hello, Deborah and all.
I will. I will.
Fabulous. Thank you so much, Dr.
Yeah,
Scott.
I did send you that information, Carolyn, on those 2 calls, if you could make it. Because we're doing Zoom while we're there at the sheriff office. It's about the Zoom call, about PWIC working with them.
On what day?
Tuesday and
Next, you
Wednesday.
said.
She hasn't given us a specific time, and I'll know by Monday, I'm sure. But if it works for your schedule, if not, I'll update you on what's going on.
That's my last week. It's almost totally packed, but I'll check for it. You already sent that to me?
Yes.
Just no time frame.
Yeah, I just not it's the days, but not the time. So yeah, I did send it to you. So thank you so much. Let me unrecord.